Garmin StreetPilot i3, 20 years old. Oh, this thing is so old, but I'm showing it for a reason here. What if you used my maps on this? Or any OpenStreetMap based maps like mine. Now, you cannot fit the entire United States on this. But just to show you, yeah, I've got my maps on here. You can fit somewhere in the neighborhood of 35% of the United States into this. And the Achilles heel of the StreetPilot i2, i3, i5 and the StreetPilot C310, 320, 330, 340, 550 and 580 is that you are unable to look up locations by GPS coordinates. This thing has no way of inputting GPS coordinates manually, and believe me, I have tried. I thought there might have been some little hidden setting in this somewhere to do so. No, it's just not in the cards. You just cannot do it with this guy, which is unfortunate. But that being the case, like, okay, is this thing still usable even with the inability to punch in coordinates manually? Well, to give you an example, actually, before I do that, the answer is yes. If you're willing to deal with some limitations and institute some workarounds. Now, for example, I just put in, I just updated my super gas POI, which now includes, oh, I should note this first. This does do custom POIs. It is from food, hotels, and more, and then custom points. And if you've never seen one of these iSeries, this is not a touchscreen. There's 3 buttons on this. There's button here, and a wheel that also acts as a button. But I have in here, I put in Love's Flying J. Did I add another one? I'm not sure. I think it was, oh yeah, and Pilot. Love's, Pilot, and Flying J. Pilot, Flying J apparently is the same thing now. But let's do a Love's. And I'll pick this one. And show the map. There's the icon for it. We'll start. Now you saw that was about 28-30 miles away. Yeah, this thing takes a long time to calculate a route. It takes an even longer time to get a GPS satellite signal because this does not have a fast acquisition antenna in it. It is slow. But it works. It still does work. Yeah, you can. It will work to calculate the route. And anyway, while that's calculating, the first way to use this thing, oh, there we go. And speak.
Drive 2 miles, then turn left.
Yeah, no text to speech on this guy. Let me just go mute that volume.
1.
There we go. Anyway, like I was saying, the first way is to use POI databases. So if you have POI databases in this thing, okay, great. You can do that. The other way is because one of the problems with OpenStreetMap is that the address search is not exactly as good as the Garmin maps. The workaround for that is, as long as you know the name of the street, you can technically at least get to the street with this thing by a lookup of that. So if I do address, United States. I'll just do McKinney. McKinn. There it is. And instead of entering the house number, I will just nothing. Just done. Can I do that? Oh, no, I guess I can't. Okay. So I know the address I want to go to is 3701 West El Dorado. So if I just 3701. Okay, select street. Actually, I think it's West El Dorado. Let me try that first. West space. Yeah, I'm leaving all this in because this is how long it takes to put in. Oh, I got it. Okay, it didn't find it, and that's okay. But it did find one of these two. So at least I could select this and get to the road. I don't get to the exact location, but as long as I get to the road I want to get to, I can find it from there. I know that's not a good solution, but it's better than nothing if you have to use one of these things. Just go back. Actually, if I press and hold back, there we go. View map. There we go. Right. While it is technically possible to put Garmin issued maps on this thing, even for the latest one, well, there's a problem with that too, and I might as well say this. You see how that says, or it said it right here, yeah, Lebanon Road right there? For some reason, when you put modern Garmin maps on an older StreetPilot model, and some older Nuvi models, like really old ones like 360s and 600 series, it will truncate the name. Like, it wouldn't show Leslie Lane here, it would show L dot 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 dot, and that's it. But because the way that I do my maps is an older style of map generation, it will show everything, which is good. That's what this originally came with. Before the NT maps, basically, that Garmin did. Yeah, you see that legendary drive right there, Surrey Path. Yeah, that all works. That's good. Oh, you see Preston Road right there? Well, kind of see it. Yeah, so you can't do GPS coordinates. The address search, the Garmin maps, even if you put it on this, it has issues. So why bother with one of these 20-year-old guys? Well, if it were used for just a basic overview of the map, like if I go here and do the map view as a north up, okay, so what this does is it gives me a very teeny tiny view of the map of what it looks like. Oh, and yes, I can zoom with this, by the way. That's what this is for. When I do this with the wheel, I can zoom in this guy. Get in real tight if I want to. Like, that's maximum zoom right there. Let's go back a bit. Yeah. Once this thing has a signal, it does cook right along. So, yeah, this is good if you want a teeny tiny thing that just shows the current map once it gets a signal. And something I've said about this before, the main reason to have an i3 or an i5 is because it is, to the best of my knowledge, the only Garmin navigator for the car ever made that runs on 2 AA batteries. Plain alkalins. Yes. And how long will it run on that? I don't know. 3 to 4 hours, maybe? Something like that. 3 or 4 hours. Yeah, this thing from this, if I turned it on its side, looks like a tiny television set. An old CRT, if you will. It's not a tube, obviously. That's a backlit screen. But yeah, the main benefit to this thing is that it's the tiniest GPS the Garmin GPS that runs on two AA's, and it does actually have pre-recorded voice. You can technically use it to navigate with. It does support a micro SD. As a matter of fact, it has to, because it has no internal memory to store maps on. So you have to use a micro SD, and it cannot be more than 2 gigabyte in size, which means, you know how I think I talked about this recently, there's SDHC. Well, this is the version even before that. SD, original SD. Yeah. So if you put SDHC in one of these, it won't read it. Certainly won't read SDXC. It has to be the original SD micro. A few years back, I had to go buy some, and you would ordinarily never do this, but I had no choice. I had to get some memory cards because I got this one and an i5, and I had to buy my 2 gigabyte micro SD cards used. And of course, you never buy used memory cards, but the thing is, I had to. There was nothing out there that was new old stock. And there was this eBay seller, and there are others even now, that have a whole pile of these things. And you just gotta take your chances. And so I did, and I bought a couple of them. And now I think they're made by Lexar or something like that. And that is what is storing the map data on this guy. As a matter of fact, I don't even remember how this is formatted. I don't think it's FAT32. Was it? No, it can't be FAT16. I'll have to check that. I don't remember. I'll have to check that later. Because once you format it, you don't worry about it. But anyway, so 2 gigabyte limit. It cannot fit the entire United States. So what I would have to do for total coverage is, yeah, I'd have to have multiple SD cards. So when I get to the border of where the map ends, I'd have to turn this off, take out the card, put in the other card, turn it back on. Yeah, really annoying. But how often do you do that? I mean, almost never, right? So, I mean, yeah, technically does work with my maps, which you're seeing right now. It has to be installed from map source. You have to do it that way. You can do a map source. Oh, actually, no way. You can use Basecamp and map install. You can do it that way too. But it is, it's an involved process. I've never done a video on it because, I mean, how many people own one of these things and actually intend on using it? If there is anyone out there that actually does have an iSeries and say, "Oh yeah, I still use it," maybe I would run through the process of how to do a map update on this with OpenStreetMap. Maybe it would have to be at least, bare minimum, at least two people that actually own one of these, and then I'd say, okay, yeah, sure, like I'll give it a go. I'll do the video, and but otherwise, like, no, I mean, because no one's going to use this thing otherwise. Because at bare minimum, you'd have to at least use a Nuvi 200 from 2007, which was 2 years after this guy, into the Nuvi series, and out of the StreetPilot series. I mean, I love this little guy. Don't get me wrong, I love this little guy, and the reason I even own one, because this was my first Garmin I ever owned. Not this one in particular. This is like my third one of these, because the other two, in all honesty, broke. The wheel thing just fell apart, so I had to find one. And I'm very ginger with this thing, because this thing's 20 years old. And I'm using an old memory card just to keep this thing running. It's fragile. This one at this point is fragile stuff. Anyway, sorry, like I said, I mean, if there's someone out there, at least two people, that actually own this, to say, okay, yes, please, sir, do a video, I appreciate it, okay, then I do it, but otherwise, no. And yeah, like I said, at least if you're gonna go with an old guy, the Nuvi 200 is that would be my recommendation. That is the oldest you should dare to go. Some people will still use Nuvi 360s and 680s and 660s and such, but the 200 is, to me, the best place as far as that's the limit of how old you should go, because at least I can have you with the 200 series, excuse me, a 200 model Nuvi. I can say, okay, go get an SDHC card, format the FAT32, make a folder called Garmin, and drop the GMAP SUP files in there, and then turn it on, select the maps, and go. And you can put in coordinates manually. That is a big deal, because if you can't find what you need to from looking it up on the Garmin itself, then you get the coordinates from the phone and you punch it in and go that way. But with this guy, well, I explained the limitations earlier. It is a pain to set up. It is a pain to transfer. Oh, yeah, I'll end on this one. This thing, oh, good Lord. USB 1.1. Oh my God, this is so slow. Okay, yeah. And I'll just, because this video is going long anyway, so this will be my final thing I say about it. Just about USB speeds, in case you're not aware. Right. What we're used to now is like USB 3 and up. I think there's like 3.1 and such and so forth. Nice and speedy. Yep. Not SSD fast, but second best. Pretty good. Yeah. You plug in a USB stick to a computer, something like, whether it's a USB A or USB C, and you've got your little memory stick and you're good. Okay, yep, nice and speedy. Well, prior to that was USB 2. And there's a lot of people that already consider that too slow for modern use. Me, not so much. I can still use USB 2.0, especially considering the vast majority of all the Nuvis. All of them? Okay, almost all of them are USB 2.0 speed. Okay, that's fine. But then you have the one before that. USB 1.1. This is dog slow. If you want to transfer, like I put on, so I have a 2 gigabyte memory card in this, and I stuffed it full of like 1.9 gigs of map data. It had to transfer it through the little USB thing on the side here to the card. Oh, yes, please keep simulating. Come on, little dude. You can do it. You can do it. Is he gonna do it? I think so. No, maybe. Oh, yes. So to transfer that amount of data literally took almost 2 hours. That is not an exaggeration. To get the data over USB 1.1 transferred over to this thing. Oh. Because if you thought Class 2 micro SD, which is what's in this, was the slowest it gets, no, there's one slower than that, is when it's connected to a USB 1.1 device. Because at least if I was going to transfer direct to card, to SD card, I could take this out, put it in my computer, and okay, yeah, Class 2 is really slow, but it's not USB 1.1 slow. You know, the best way I can describe it, imagine going back to dial-up internet. You remember that? You remember how much it sucked? That's what USB 1.1 is like, and that's what you deal with this. Yikes. But I still love the little guy. I still do. See y'all later.